Hello there, this is Liz Speaks, and this is the Network Infrastructure and Security Report prepared for Head Outdoors. So, the current network status is as follows. You have 9 employees, but you have a targeted scale growth of 15 to 18 employees in the next 12 months. And what you currently need are high speed, uninterrupted booking and sales capabilities. You need massive media storage for excursion photos and videos, and of course, your promotional media. And you need secure remote file access for your offsite payroll and for media uploading, because currently you do not have that capability. And your current functionality, your internet service provider is Comcast Business, but you do have pretty slow megabytes per second. Your hardware, you have 1 Linux server, 3 wired desktops, 2 wireless printers, 1 basic router, 1 unmanaged switch, and wire Cat5 cabling. You have a LAN topology, and you have a single shared Wi-Fi environment for your staff and your guests. So currently, the way your security works, you're monitoring, you have web access tracking active, you do have a password policy in place, but there is a single general password that is shared for your users and your guests, and your updates are being done manually. You are currently meeting industry standards in a few ways. So you do have redundancy and fault tolerance because you have nightly automated jobs that are backing up to the entire local Linux server, and that's to the Google Cloud. And that guarantees your business continuity and data preservation if there was ever a local hardware failure. And you do have user access rights limited based on the roles. So you have server folders that are securely broken up based on their department. So sensitive financial information is restricted to the leadership team. So that prevents any unauthorized internal access. And you have somewhat of a network use policy with your password policy, and that is enforcing the minimum of 10 characters, combining lowercase, uppercase, numerals, and symbols. But of course, there are some concerns that we would like to address and assist you with. So, some functionality concerns that you have. Your capacity and your bandwidth is limited. So, the Comcast line is definitely not enough to handle the work of your 9 employees, the large media files, and this unmanaged guest network. So this messes with your revenue. Staff are unable to confirm trips, collect payments when booking. The system drops during high traffic hours. And so then those employees aren't able to do their work, as well as the customers trying to get on there to book excursions. And you have no remote access. So the local server blocks external connections. That's a big one. So you have productivity and security issues there. Employees are having to drive to the office in order for them to get access. And as you stated, that has some insecure workarounds with people using their USBs or even using personal emails to share this information. And you also stated that you have some wireless dead zones. So in the back office, you don't have Wi-Fi coverage. And so that leads to a workflow disruption. Leadership and the back office employees are basically stuck back there and working on those hardwired devices. But we can fix that with a increased bandwidth. If you were to upgrade to a higher tier business internet service provider, and I recommend using fiber, that would most definitely help and help with what you're wanting to do and to grow your company. Also, you definitely want to look at getting remote access. If you implement a secure VPN, your employees will be able to upload media securely from home, won't need to drive into the office. And then we need to probably take care of these dead zones. And we can do that by installing a mesh wireless access point system so that way you have full office coverage. And then, of course, there are some security concerns and remedies that we need to talk about. So the password being shared amongst the employees and the guests is not very secure. You want to enforce the use of using unique individual passwords and having the guests have their own separate password. And speaking of the passwords, you have a shared Wi-Fi. So your guests are also using the same Wi-Fi as the employees, and that also creates some concerns. So you definitely want to create a guest Wi-Fi that is separated from the employees and have a separate guest password for that. And then also, there are some security concerns with using USB devices and offsite files being shared through email and things like that. Again, if you implement a secure VPN and ban USB drives, your files will be securely uploaded from home and they'll be encrypted. You won't have the possibility of losing a USB or any important information being intercepted. So here is currently what your network is looking like, but here is how we would like to update it. So we want to have your internet cloud going to their firewall, and then of course if you have a VPN, we'll be able to have remote entry, have that firewall go to a router, and then let's go to a managed switch and then break off into 3 sections here. Have your hardwired servers, have a wireless access point for your employees, for the wireless printer and your other devices and their phones, but then have that separate guest wireless access point so that way it separates what the guests are doing from what your employees are doing. And so lastly, the network practices that I feel need to be in place. I feel that you need to create an official acceptable use policy or network use policy and put it in writing, even though you are a small company, that does need to be put in writing. And you need to have mandated training for all employees and have yearly refresher trainings with any new updates. I know you stated that you are a small company, but if we want to keep everything secure and running smoothly, we need to make sure all of your employees are aware of the security threats and risks. I feel that you need to continue limiting access and limiting network privileges only to what an employee needs in order to perform their role. Instead of you doing updates when you're able to, I think that we need to have regularly scheduled automatic updates that run on the devices. And then getting back to where you have one password for all of your employees, I feel that you need to have every employee have a unique password that they create using the password policy, and then guests have a separate guest password. And thank you so much for hearing all of the recommendations for your system.